The verse number is 23 or 24? 24. So do you have a 10, 1, 24? 10, 1, 24. And it's about Balaram. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Vasudeva Kalanantaha Sahasra Vadana Swarat Agrato Bhavita Devo Hare Priya Chikirshaya Vasudeva Kalanantaha Sahasra Vadana Swarat Agrato Bhavita Devo Hare Priya Chikirshaya. Sham Vasudeva Kalanantaha Sahasra Vadana Swarat Hare Priya Chikirshaya. Vasudeva Kalanantaha Sahasra Vadana Swarat Agrato Bhavita Devo Hare Priya Chikirshaya.
Vasudeva Kalanantaha
Vasudeva Kalanantaha Sahasra Vadana Swarat
Agrato Bhavita Devo
Agrato Bhavita Devo Hare Priya Chikirshaya. Vasudeva Kalanantaha. The plenary expansion of Lord Krishna known as Anantadev or Sankarshan Ananta, the all-pervasive incarnation of the Supreme Lord. Sahasra Vadanaha, having thousands of hoods. Swarat, fully independent. Agrataha, previously. Bhavita, will appear. Devaha, the Lord. Hare, of Lord Krishna. Priya Chikirshaya, with the desire to act for the pleasure. Translation: the foremost manifestation of Krishna is Sankarshana, who is known as Ananta. He is the origin of all incarnations within this material world. Previous to the appearance of Lord Krishna, this original Sankarshana will appear as Baladev, just to please the Supreme Lord Krishna in his transcendental pastimes. Nice. Purport. Sri Baladev is the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself. He is equal in supremacy to the Supreme Godhead, yet wherever Krishna appears, Sri Baladev appears as his brother, sometimes elder and sometimes younger. When Krishna appears, all his plenary expansions and other incarnations appear with him. This is elaborately explained in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. This time, Baladev would appear before Krishna as Krishna's elder brother. So this is the verse that the temple is speaking on this morning, so we picked that verse. The appearance of Lord Balaram. Now, Balaram Tattva is a vast topic. The whole chapter is dedicated to Balaram Tattva in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Lila. And a few points specific expressed in the verse. He does what he does for one purpose, and that's the pleasure of the personality of Godhead. Priya Chikirshaya, with the desire to act for the pleasure. This is the mode of service. And the mode of service is the foundation for understanding the transcendental topics, understanding Krishna and anything in relation to transcendence without, say it negatively, without the mode of service. Everything remains a mystery. Even it may be written, or even it may be explained after being written, and it remains a mystery. Now, even with the mode of service, there's always mystery. How to understand, how to fathom that which has no limit. Fathom means finding the bottom of the ocean. You can find the bottom of the ocean. But what's that ocean where there's no bottom? What's that which exists, which has no limit? The mind can't accommodate that which has no limit, because everything knowable has a limit, and there's no limit. So the first expansion here we know as Balaram is the first expansion, and then the explanation given in the purport is when Krishna appears, all his plenary expansions and other incarnations appear with him. Now, they appear with him because, in one sense, they're within him, or everything that exists has a source, and from the source, some things may be manifest, some things may not be manifest. Nonetheless, they're within him. So he's at the emanating source, carries, sometimes manifests, sometimes withdraws those manifestations. Like the Brahma Vimohan Lila, after Krishna did what he did, showed Brahma what he showed, in a flash, all of that which he showed, poof, disappeared, withdrawn within Krishna, manifest. And so when Krishna appears, all of his plenary expansions and everything comes with him. And there's no material example of that. Everything has its beginning and an end, and it has its limits. For Krishna, there's no limit. So the first, we say commonly, the first expansion is Balaram. And then this, what is being said here is, he, the original Sankarshan, that's the source from which Balaram manifests, he is known as Ananta. He is the origin of all incarnations within this material world. So there's expansions in the spiritual world, and there's expansions from the spiritual world into the material world. And technically, at least this particular verse is indicating Balaram is the source, but it doesn't negate the statement that Krishna is the source. Logically, yes, but Balaram is the source, and the source of Balaram is Krishna, so Krishna is the source. It's like, a grandfather has a son, and the son may have a son. So the grandfather is the source of the grandson, although it's the father that's the source of the son. But one can also rightly see and understand that the son is connected to the grandfather. There's no existence to the son without the grandfather, without father, and without the grandfather. So, Balaram Tattva requires understanding the relationship between the source of emanation, the source of everything, the absolute truth, and that which comes from the absolute truth. Now, in the verse, there's the word swarat, which means independent. And one could say independent. I mean, it says independent. But that independent is, in one sense, independent, in another sense, is dependent. And the dependency, one can describe it in different ways, but the dependency has to do with Balaram doesn't act independently. He acts dependently. But he has the capacity to independently act, or swarat, and he chooses to submit his absolute independence to his younger brother. I mean, a very nice example is the marriage of Arjuna with Subhadra. And Balaram had a plan, and when something else happened, he was ready to smash Arjuna, but Krishna made his explanation to Balaram, no, it's nice, and so forth. So Balaram, and not only you shouldn't arrest him, you should bring him back and just have the wedding right here. In honor of Balaram, it's honorable, and he for other reasons, he's already touched her, and so she can't be touched by someone else. So that's our culture, and so it's glorious, and because Balaram has this mood of service. He knows what Krishna wants him to know. At the same time, he's independent. And Balaram, can be covered by Krishna's Yogamaya potency, and he has no choice in the matter. For 1 year, not knowing that the cowherd boys were Krishna, and the calves were Krishna, not knowing. There's two explanations given why Krishna did that. It's nice. It's a detail. Krishna did that because he didn't want Balaram to experience separate. This is Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. He didn't want Balaram to experience separation from Sridham and Stoka Krishna and other of Balaram's friends, because they're not just like buddies, as in the material sense. There's a transcendental affinity, and he didn't want Balaram to experience separation. So he covered him with Yogamaya, so he wouldn't see what was going on. That's one explanation. And then another explanation is it would have spoiled the pastime. Because the parents and the cows didn't know, but supposing Balaram knows, and they don't know. I mean, he can keep a secret, but it would spoil the pastime if it became known. So Krishna didn't let it become known to anyone. He knew, and these are all his expansions. So his expansions, they're in full understanding of what Krishna is doing. Anyway, at a certain point in time, Krishna pulled the Yogamaya curtain back, and slowly Balaram started to understand, oh, this is what's going on for a whole year. So the relationship, the understanding Krishna, Balaram Tattva, requires understanding his, in principle, his being an expansion, the first expansion, and plenary, not a portion of a plenary or a portion of the portion. He is a plenary expansion in full. So one can say, rightly, he is as independent as Krishna is. And the bond of affection, wishing to please Krishna, places him in the position where if Krishna so desires, he can make decisions, independent decisions, that match what Krishna wants, out of love. That's how a lover and beloved, or a dear friend, the servant and the master, behave. They don't want anything else than the other party, the beloved or the master or the dearmost friend. They don't want anything else. And once they understand what the other party wants, then that's it. Especially in the case where there is one who, between the two, is the source of the one, or the source of everything. So it has its mystery. And it sounds a little bit like double talk. He's independent, but he's not completely independent. We can say something like that about the jivas. They have tiny independence. They can choose within some boundaries, but they don't have complete independence. They're dependent. And Balaram is in another category of tattva. He's independent. He's svarat. You can't use that term to describe the living entities. They're not svarat. Balaram is. And yet, even as the first expansion and even as svarat, he is bound by his mood of wanting to please. I'll read it again. With the priya jikirshaya, the final words in the verse, with the desire to act for the pleasure. Or in the way the translation goes, previous to the appearance of Lord Krishna, this original Sankarshan will appear as Baladev. That means Baladev came first, Krishna came second. So previous to the appearance of Lord Krishna, this original Sankarshan will appear as Baladev, just to please the Supreme Lord Krishna in his transcendental pastimes. Now, there's this commentary that we've all heard multiple times. As Prabhupada indicates in the purport, sometimes this first expansion appears as the elder brother, sometimes appears as the younger brother. So when he appears as Lakshmana, he's the younger brother. and his elder brother Ramachandra does this and that, and it makes things uncomfortable for Lakshman. Seeing Sita is taken and having to take Sita to the ashram of Valmiki, and he has to do things that he's happy to do, but their sensibilities are also disturbed because. And therefore he decided, it is said, this next time I'm going to be the elder brother. And Krishna honored the elder brother, but at the same time the elder brother from time to time would honor what his younger brother wanted. Because of the rasa, not because of the dharma of elder brother, younger brother. So rasa trumps. Rasa is the ultimate deciding factor in everything, in Krishna's pastimes, particularly. And then one last thing, the flow of how things unfold from different days of Brahma, or from yuge, sambhavami, yuge, the flow is variegated in sometimes. Principles are still intact, but the details of the flow is different. Small, not major, because principles remain the same. Whether the elder brother or the younger brother, his mood is he wants to act for the pleasure of Krishna. So Dasya is an interesting mixture of rasas. He is the servant, he's the brother, friend, and he's the elder brother. So a kind of, a degree of parental affection. And at different times, different rasas will predominate, and with that rasa predomination, then there's variegated roles that Balaram plays. But in all circumstances, whatever the role is, it's for the pleasure of Krishna. And the affection between the two is unique. Krishna has many friends, but Balaram is his best friend, his brother, and the dearmost amongst all of his dear friends, which is saying a lot because he has some very, very dear friends in Vrindavan. To whom he's transcendently attached. And when they're in difficulty, Krishna feels a transcendental feeling, an increase in his affinity for them by horror or dread or astonishment or something. So their rasa moves, but that particular position doesn't move. He loves them very much, and he protects them in all circumstances, even when it looks like it's danger. He's there, and they know it, not as the Supreme, but they know it as their protector. That Krishna's there, everything's going to be okay. They're fearless. No absorption in the temporary equals fearlessness. Absorption in the temporary, fear. Without exception for anyone, though it is still tinged with the material conception. And Balaram wants to take that away and instead, in its place, give Krishna Tattva, or knowledge about Krishna, and reveal Krishna. But he also knows when to keep things confidential. So sometimes he doesn't reveal things to assist the Krishna's pastimes unfolding in a way that Krishna wants to reciprocate in loving ways with his devotees. So there's the morning verse. See if there's some discussion. Yeah. He ultimately, yes, with a qualifier. He manifests his understanding according to Krishna's desire. Meaning, like this example of Subhadra. Balaram, was not indicating what Krishna wanted. He was indicating something else. But bottom line, it's at Leela, and so he, not like reading a script, acting in a drama, but he was playing the role of one who wanted something that Subhadra didn't want. And when Krishna understood what Subhadra wanted, Balaram didn't know. At least in the Leela, he didn't know. So he knows what Krishna wants him to know. That's love. Sometimes the beloved doesn't disclose everything to the lover, or the lover doesn't disclose everything to the beloved. He's independent and he's omniscient, but he's also can be covered. His omniscience can be covered if Krishna so desires. So Krishna maintained the position of the supreme, or the ultimate absolute truth, and Balaram is equal, but not equal, because of that position of the servant of, the first expansion of. I'm trying to think of examples that indicate yes, and I can't think of examples that indicate yes. Logically, without the examples, it would make sense. Again, logically, it would make sense. There must be some pastimes, must be some circumstances when Balaram, with his Yogamaya potency, covers so that he can see, but others cannot see, or something like that. There's a very nice a topic that's a very popular topic. It is the very first verse of the Rasa Leela section. The very first verse says, Krishna ashraya, or ashrita. Krishna took shelter of his Yogamaya potency. And then that Yogamaya potency conducted the pastime.
Krishna's background is but I'm assuming that other gopis do not know that this is
Well, all this is very esoteric. And Balaram takes the role of What does that mean? What does it mean? So it doesn't mean within Balaram is this feature that he manifests when the right time is there, the right Leela arrangement is there. If that's not what it means, then what does it mean? So it would take drilling a little bit more. Is an aspect of Balaram's desire to be in service to Krishna, is an aspect of that desire this feature? So I don't understand the esotericness well enough to answer the question. Because that leads to the other. Are the others understanding what's going on? That's what your question is. It's a nice question, but it's esoteric. It's not easy to understand. All the whole arrangement. So what others understood, a reasonable conclusion is, how are they going to understand? Oh, there's Balaram. If Krishna wants to disclose anything, the omniscient will know everything. And if the omniscient wants someone to know, then but what it would, how would it enhance the relationship? Oh yeah, there's a lengthy in the one of the books that Garuda has written. He dedicates like a half a chapter just to explain what Yogamaya is. And because he sent me the little paragraph, little paragraph out of that section. The function, Yogamaya function, is to bring to a greater height and intimacy the exchanges of love between Krishna and his servitors. So the increase Yogamaya, it's not a necessity for the gopis to know. It doesn't bring the intimacy greater, the loving exchange stronger, for the gopis to know. Anangamanjari is, it's not really an Anangamanjari. It doesn't enhance the rasa, so there's no reason for them to become aware. Based upon what Yogamaya is, what Yogamaya does, the function. Having answers to these kinds of questions requires two things. A more comprehensive, complete understanding of the writings of our acharyas, because they touch, from time to time, they touch on these difficult to understand or esoteric topics, and they disclose. And then even second is, a consciousness or brain that's the affinity for matter is gone. A transcendental brain can understand transcendence, the subtleties of transcendence. So great acharyas will know those things, and those things will be disclosed to them. But and they write, but somebody reads what they write, and they may or may not understand. So two things are required. You want to contribute something?